Hi there! Welcome to On the Flip Side, a podcast for anyone who wants to live their best sales life. We're going to be talking to buyers, sales managers, SDRs, and A's about things like what does it take to be a great sales manager? Or how can you go home happy month after month? So let's dive right in.
We have Anupreet Singh in the house today. Welcome to On the Flip Side.
Doing wonderful, Arjun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in. I know today when we're recording this end of the quarter, and I don't think any sales leader would want to record a freaking podcast of this time, but you are here, so I appreciate that.
I mean, no, absolutely. It's the job has been done. The contracts are out now. People who have to sign it are the ones probably working on it, right? So I can go and record podcasts now.
Yeah, there's only a few things. There's only a certain number of things that we have control over. Once we're done with that,
Yeah,
the contracts will come.
absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So I think for the listeners' context, I met Anupreet like a few months ago on LinkedIn. I've been following your content, some really good stuff, and yeah, Slintel is doing some amazing stuff, and he's building an amazing team there. So overall, I think this podcast, this episode, I thought we'd discuss about a couple of things. Starting off with, I remember you talking about honesty in sales on multiple LinkedIn posts, which is something that is very close to me as well, because I keep thinking about that. I'm always torn between two things, right? I'm like, it's my job, I need to sell at any, I can go to, there's a very thin line there, but there's also the other side where I don't want to be selling my soul to sell properly, right? So yeah, I thought maybe we can start off with that. What is your overall thoughts about honesty in sales?
Yeah, I think, honesty in sales or in life at large is no different, right? And people recognize when you're being honest. People get to know when you're being honest versus when you're trying to be someone else. And I think, if you're not being honest, it would just bite you back at some point in your overall transaction. If not before the contract signatures, maybe after the contract signatures when the person actually comes and starts using your product. So I think it's very essential for the overall sanity to be maintained across your GTM function, that you're being honest in every step of your sales approach. The other part of it is, right, the fact that no one's really bought anything just because the salesperson was being super smart about it, or was pushing too hard, or because because the salesperson to that particular prospect. People buy because they genuinely see value in a particular product. So more than thinking about ways to give smart answers in a particular demo or a discovery or a negotiation call, be put your heart out. I mean, for example, right, in a demo, if your prospect asks you, do you have this particular feature, and if you don't, you can be honest about the fact that yes, we don't have this feature. I personally feel that this feature should be on our product, and I'm pushing very hard internally to get this feature in. If you come in and make sure that we make some noise together to bring this feature in the next quarter, and genuinely try to push very hard with your product team to get that feature in now that the customer is coming on board. Instead of saying, yeah, we have it, or it's coming in 2 weeks, when you know that it's not probably coming in the next 2 weeks, right? Similarly, when you're negotiating, right, and say a particular prospect is asking you for a price point which is way below your standard pricing, and you can't go below that standard pricing, be honest about the fact that we have never signed a contract below that, but this is what I can do if you can sign tomorrow. So, I'm not trying to tell you that don't do sales. You can do sales while being honest as well, and be human, right? Try to give answers as if you're talking to a friend or a family member, right? And honesty will come naturally.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I mean, I definitely think that being honest saves everybody a lot of time in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because the more we lie, we're going to have to, go back and forth, play ping pong over and over again and have multiple calls, and it's going to happen. There's also something that's kind of, almost unacceptable with that, like it's okay to, use white lies. Like, I don't know what white lies are. Like, it can be extremely subjective. For me, white lies could be, something else. For you, it could be something else. But
Yeah.
how do you handle this topic when it comes to your team itself? Like, let's say a situation like this comes up, right? Like you mentioned, a feature request, a functionality that doesn't exist today. I know that it's in the roadmap, probably 6 months down the line, but I know this is a huge deal. I'm probably going to say, it's going to come up from 3 to 6 months. I'm going to paint a slightly different picture.
Yeah.
Not lying extremely
Yeah.
opposite something, something like that, right? So, what's your take on that?
So I think as long as after you say 3 to 6 months, you are actually going to the product team and trying to make it happen between 3 to 6 months now, it's not a lie. But if you know that the product team has made it very clear it will come in the 7th month, and you're saying 3 to 6 months, it is still a lie. It still stands as a lie. So what I typically do is that if I'm bringing on board a customer with a promise, I make sure that I am trying my level best with the product team and negotiating with them. And you have to be on the customer side when you're facing business. You have to be on the customer side. You have to empathize with them and then work with the customer to make things happen. So be it on the customer success on or in the sales team, right? You have to be sure that you're on the customer side at every given step in the deal. And if you are doing that, then everything is fine, because now you're empathizing with the customer. You're making sure that this feature is extremely important to him. He will not be able to see value out of the product unless this feature comes in. And now, since he has trusted you to get ink on the paper right now, you are trying your best to make sure that internally you're then doing all the running around and making things happen for this customer. And it pays off, honestly. If you actually do it in 4th month versus 7th month, after you've committed someone 3 to 6, he will be sure to give you a referral back. He will be sure to give you a testimonial. So all of this pays back. So as a salesperson, it will be generating pipeline for you in return. Versus he going to 7 different people and telling that, dude, I signed up with this company. He told me this will be done in 3 to 6 months, and it's been 7 months. It's not done. So you don't want that situation to happen, especially in an early stage environment.
Yeah, I know. I think the early stage, it makes so much of a difference, because I've been in an organization where I'm only doing sales. I get the order form signed and then I'm done. Right? Somebody else is handling the account, so I'm not going to be bothered about that. But I think working in an early stage startup gives you that much of an exposure that you literally, there's no other way, right? You have to work with the customers. And you have to get the order form signed in an honest manner, and then you have to continue to work with them on success and all that. So which itself kind of sets the bar high, and it's great. There's something else that I also wanted to talk about. So when we are talking about honesty, right, how much honesty is too much honesty? Because there's a thin line between being honest and being dumb.
Yeah, being stupid. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what is too much honesty, right? Like, so for example, just before this demo, the product crashed. There was a bug or there was a server failure. You don't need to tell this prospect that, hey, last half an hour, our product was down. I mean, he didn't ask for it. This happened once in like 7 months. This won't happen. It's something that you can always hide. Or if, a particular feature is not working, this is supposed to work. It's just not working right now. It will work right after this call. So, calling it out that, hey, looks like there's a bug, looks like there's an issue, looks like, the product is not doing its job. That is something that I would kind of, say is outright stupid. You can always escape these kind of things. Escaping these kind of situations is what, in my opinion, is, being street smart. But again, there's a difference. As you said, there's a thin line between being honest and then being stupid. And I think most salespeople know how to handle these situations. What they don't know is how to be honest where they're supposed to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You can't be stupid by calling out things that they don't even need. Like, for example, they needed a feature that they didn't require a feature that you don't have. Why should you have to tell them that, hey, my competitor has this extra feature as well, but we don't have it? I mean, he never asked for it, right? I mean, why are you outright going out and talking about it? So, I mean, yeah, you're right. You have to be careful about the fact that you can't be stupid.
Overall, not being honest is a much bigger problem than, I think very, very small percentage of people end up being stupid on sales calls versus people not being able to be honest. But I think honesty is great. I've also been on the being stupid side of things sometimes too. I'm like, I'm being extremely transparent and honest. And in that regard, I've also brought up some random things that nobody asked for. Literally, I'm like, I don't know why I just said that. Let's just rewind and go back.
My reps do that as well. And I keep reminding them that always try to sell before you upsell or cross-sell. I believe in that ideology. Now, what I mean by that is that if someone came to your platform, booked a demo for feature A, try to sell him on feature A before you tell him that, hey, by the way, we have feature B and feature C as well. Because now feature C might disappoint him. And then he might go back and think that your product is not good. But he never even asked for feature C. Why didn't you sell him on feature A only? Maybe it's the customer success's job to then try to cross-sell and upsell into other offerings that you might also have. So I think this is something that A's, kind of fall for. wherein they'll try to explain the entire product, try to sell the entire product. And especially we come from the data industry, right? We're a sales intelligence too. So especially in this area, no one has perfect data in the entire industry. You can't please your customers with data. I mean, there's definitely, you need to please them with customer service. You need to please them with doing something extra for them, to source that piece of information that is probably missing and they really require. There will be some gaps with every product. So you need to be sure that you're first selling this particular prospect on that exact set of information that he came to your demo for. And then you go and, cross-sell or upsell, whatever is required from there.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I think it's like, I know the prospect wants one thing, but I'm going to give him three and then cement the deal and stuff. But yeah, it kind of boils down to, again, dumping a feature dump. Right?
Yeah.
Continue to dump every feature and then imagine, okay, one of these things is going to stick again. But yeah. No, I also saw one other interesting video. And by the way, I really love your tennis stuff. I watch it with my girlfriend most times. So it's very interesting. So
awesome.
One thing that you spoke about is how you once kind of slashed the team's quota. I think this was the end of last year, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, end of last year. Yes, last quarter of last fiscal year. Yep. So we followed Jan to December fiscal year.
Yeah, that was very interesting for me. I was like, okay, so I mean, leaders always think like this, right? So I want to put a target that is a little hard to achieve. So then people will achieve like 80% of that target. Correct. And that's a win for me. But slashing the target and then expecting the team, or maybe not, I don't know what your thought was.
Yeah, when I initially did that, everyone, including my own friends, the ones that I share everything with, told me that it is crazy. I mean, why would you want to have your quota, which is higher than individual reps quota, some of individual reps quota? And, on the face value of it, it looks stupid. But the first things first, spoiler, that we actually ended up hitting my quota, actually overachieving my quota, which also means that each and every individual rep exceeded their quota. So I'll tell you why we did this and why this is important. I think most of us, right, believe that having a good culture in the team, in the organization is absolutely essential, and we should be, gunning for that. But in the end, if you are celebrating when the team has not hit their target, then you're not doing justice to, your team's ethics that you kind of are standing for throughout this entire process. So, I mean, preach. If you really think about it, right, then it is as simple as preach. So, we had some difficult quarters when it was COVID, and we came out of it really softly, really strong. We exceeded our board's expectations, we exceeded our founders' expectations, but we saw that individual reps in some months could not really meet their individual targets. So all of us were celebrating, while there were some individual reps that were not, because they met like 60% of their quota, or 70 or 80% of their quota. So I asked myself, why is this happening? And the real problem was that, just like any other organization, we could committed something else to the board. I was given a different number as a sales leader. And then I made sure that, if everyone is meeting 70, 80% of their targets, we still meet our quota. And then it hit me very, very strong. And I thought, why is this happening? Why can't I expect my reps to hit 200% of their quota or 150% of their quota? One advantage of that particular setup is that they'll be highly motivated, because they'll make a lot of money. You can only motivate salespeople by giving them a lot of money, and they will make a lot of money with that particular setup. And second is that they will believe that 150% is doable, 200% is doable. So belief is very, very important in sales. If you personally ask me, the single biggest contributor, in our 5x last year, it was the belief in our sales team and myself that we can do it. The overall SQLs did not go 5x. The overall revenue grew 5x. That I definitely am not taking anything away from marketing or product, but the single biggest driver is the fact that people start believing that yes, you can sell the same product for $50,000. Yes, you can sell it for higher price points. I've been selling it for $10,000 so far. I can actually go in and pitch it for 50,000 and try to close it at 40,000 maybe after all the game. I can actually go in and make my own cold calls. I think I'm good at cold calls as well. Why am I waiting for the SDR to give me leads? All of this happens when the belief has been established in an organization, and we felt it in that particular quarter when, one person hit his 100% quota after we reduced the quota in the second week. And then the remaining everyone were like, I think I can also do it. It's just 2 deals away. And everyone could hit their 100%, and now they were striving for 200. And believe me, you in that particular quarter, we had 2 reps hitting more than 200% and 1 hitting 300%. And we had only 3 reps. So 200 into 2 and 300 into 1 is the overall quota attainment that we did at an individual level. And my target was only 20% higher than what I had given them. So I overachieved my target by miles because of the belief that we created in that entire ecosystem. And they made a lot of money, of course, more than what they would have if I didn't decrease their target. And I'm totally fine with that because they got me a lot more in terms of revenue in return. And we continued from there. So we made sure that we're encouraging them to hit 200%, 150%, and 80% should be a question. Like, they should be questioning themselves when they do an 80%. Or a 50%. And it's not that, reps don't do 50% or 80% in our organization. We're as normal as any other organization. But when they do that, they shouldn't feel accomplished. They shouldn't feel like, everyone else is also doing that because they see people doing 200%. They know that this is possible. And then they go with that belief into the next month that, hey, last month was 50, let me try to do 150 next month because I have to compensate for this month's deficit as well. And that actually happens.
Yep. Yeah. No, I believe in this very strongly because I've also seen reps that I know that they're genuinely good, right? Like they're good at sales, they're good at calling, they're good at everything that they're doing. But there are some months that everybody goes to those roles in our careers, right? So nothing really happens. Like we don't know what's going on, but nothing really happens. And then all of a sudden, everything seems to work magically. And it's, I think the only thing that changes in those circumstances, like you said, is that belief that you can still go ahead and do that. I think this is something that I was experienced last year during COVID. I thought at one point I was like, my quota, I don't see myself attaining, like hitting that number at all during COVID, like in the middle of the year. And then we kind of slashed my quota by half, and I was like, okay, now this is doable. And I overachieved that month, like after slashing my quota. And then since then, after a couple of months, like I came back to my original quota. I've been overachieving since then. So now I've increased we've increased our quota and, like the payout and everything. So I'm still continuing to overachieve. So I think that one little step to kind of, set up the rep to success, make sure that he or she believes that he can get there, or she can get there. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you might be aware of the very popular stat in the industry which says that most of the reps only hit 60% of their quota. Or if you flip that around, only 60% of the reps meet their quota. If that's such a popular stat, you need to fix it, right? I mean, it's not that 40% of reps are bad. It's like you're setting up those 40% reps for failure. I mean, if you have a bad rep, I don't mind, you removing that rep for that matter. I mean, or training that rep or doing whatever you want to make sure that he's successful. And if that person is not trainable, you can always remove that rep. But just living by the fact that only 60% of my reps will hit my quota, and that's why my quota setting will be done according to that stat, it makes no sense to me. I mean, you're accepting the fact that 40% of your overall team is average. And that makes no sense to me. I mean, so yeah, I mean, you should believe that your entire team will be doing 150%. And based on that, you should have your quota setting. Even this quarter's quota, the current quarter in which we're setting, our quota setting is done in a similar fashion. We're striving for a number which is much higher than the sum of individual reps, our number. And we totally believe that we'll hit it in this particular quarter as well. So yeah, I mean, and I feel so proud when I see my reps making more money than me. I'm the guy, signing those commission checks in the end, right, and giving it to the finance team. I feel so proud that, my team made so much money in this particular month that, it's probably higher than my monthly take home. And that's a moment of pride for any sales leader, right? That is when you feel that you've done something right. And that's when you can be confident that this person is not leaving you anytime soon.
Yeah. And that's also a good sign of a sign of a good sales leader who feels happy when his reps are making. But yeah, no, I agree. And another question I had with quota setting itself is it's also very personal to me. Like, how often do you change quota in general? Just with Slintel and what has been. So
I don't like to change quota in the middle of the year. I like to keep the quota stable throughout the year. If I change, I would only change it towards lower end. Like I would only reduce it. I would never increase it in the middle of the year because with a fast-growing company like Slintel, right? In the middle of the year, you might realize that you can do a lot more than what you're doing right now. I mean, your reps can do 50% higher than what they're being asked to do. But then you also have to realize that they are the ones who took you this far, like that got you this far, right? And let them do 200%. And for the remaining chunk of money that you need to bring on the table, hire more reps. So, and I also believe that you should only give so many opportunities per rep. So rather than bombard, so, let's say SQLs have increased by 2x. I would not increase my reps target by 2x. I would rather hire more reps and give them some SQLs. Because in the end, you need to do justice to every lead that is coming your way, right? And if I know that my rep cannot handle more than 20 leads or 30 leads in a month, I will make sure that that is the maximum that he's getting. And his quota is stable at that. And then for the remaining leads that we are getting, we're hiring someone else, coaching someone else, and expecting that guy to do something similar after a ramp-up period, of course. And that has been working out well. Own experience, when I was in AE, I've seen people increasing my targets just because I hit 200% in the last month. That is not the right way to go about it. I mean, that's not how you motivate your reps and keep them with you. If you ask me, you have to let them earn a lot of money. Like that's what matters in any sales ecosystem. And also, I think one more thing I want to call out now that we're discussing incentives and we're discussing all of this is that your incentive structure should be as transparent as you can keep it. I mean, if both of us are account executives at Wingman, for example, I should be able to calculate your incentive and you should be able to calculate my incentive. And if we've brought in equal amount of revenue for the organization, both of us should be making same money. So the concept that 70% fixed, 30% variable is also bullshit. And I keep saying that to everyone that I kind of consult around sales that, hey, don't keep that 70-30 because that's unfair to the person who's earning less. Because if he has to bring 2x the revenue to make as much incentive as the person who's at a 2x CTC than him. So let the variable game be absolutely fair, right? If you are bringing as much money as me, no matter how less experienced I am than you, right? I should be making as much money. And if you're actually doing 5x more than me in terms of revenue, I should be looking up to the total money that you're making and try to strive for that. So, and in my organization, everyone is able to calculate each other's incentives themselves. They don't even need to come and ask me how much money did the other person make in terms of incentives. And I've seen my youngest SDR making more money than my most experienced AE in a lot of months. So that's how it is. And the most experienced AE knows it. And, that's what will drive him to, and things look achievable, right? When you know someone else is doing it in the same organization.
Absolutely. I think, another sign for that you have a good quota is when your reps can calculate it without having to open 100 different Excel sheets and just rack up results of. Yeah, no, I agree with all of this. No, but I think it's been a great chat, Anupreet. Thanks for jumping in. I know we haven't caught up in a long time. We should probably catch up after the end of the quarter, probably. But yeah, y'all are killing it. I know. I think I'm aware of almost all your reps on LinkedIn at least, and you have a bunch of rockstars there. So kill it. Have a good
No, absolutely. I wish the same to you. All the best for the end of quarter.